Alabama Governor Kay Ivey has issued a state of emergency. Let's send it now to the Gulf Coast Chief Meteorologist, Alan Seals. Alan, you think we'll see any damage like that here?
We're going to see our damage is likely to be from storm surge, Dauphin Island, Fort Morgan, and then more damage from high wind. A strong south wind that will be pushing trees toward the north and causing that likelihood of scattered power outages. So yes, we're going to see some impact. It won't be as widespread as Sally. Nonetheless, we are preparing for tropical storm impact tomorrow night. We'll also see that risk of flooding, a smaller risk of isolated flash flooding. And even before Zeta makes landfall, we're going to watch for the increasing threat of an isolated tornado. So it is in the Gulf of Mexico. The winds are down from what they were last evening simply because it crossed land. Still 65-mile-an-hour winds gusting to 75. Now the motion is significant. It's moving northwestward at 14 miles an hour, which is typical for a tropical storm or hurricane. But what's significant? That forward speed is going to be nearly double that at landfall. So it's going to start moving faster and faster, coming in quickly. And that means most of tonight and tomorrow, you're not going to see a big difference. But by tomorrow afternoon and evening, things are going to change quickly. So don't let your guard down. Here's the forecast track from the National Hurricane Center going north and then northwestward. Mid-afternoon tomorrow, maximum wind about 80 miles an hour. Making landfall somewhere across southeastern Louisiana. So winds still likely to be 75, 85 miles an hour at landfall, and then maybe getting back over water briefly before hitting the Mississippi coast a second time. Notice the forecast cone comes right to our area, and don't focus on exactly where you think the center will be. We're going to be to the right of the path. We're going to have a strong south wind. We're close enough that we're going to have a tornado threat. So all of those things with storm surge are going to happen regardless of where it exactly ends up. And we're preparing for tropical storm force winds. Whatever is left of it quickly heads out, and by the Friday sunrise, it'll be out into the Atlantic Ocean. It'll be a fast mover. Here's your forecast. Tonight into tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the morning. Rain most likely to our west. We'll keep that southeast wind, so rip currents will be up. Surf will be up. Most of us will start tomorrow like today. Cloudy, misty, a little rain off and on. That's lunchtime tomorrow. There's your southeast wind. Most of the rain mostly to our west, but look how quickly as we approach this time tomorrow evening, watch that rain from 5 o'clock to about 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and all of a sudden you see what looks like a big blob, and that is going to be Zeta, whether it's a hurricane or tropical storm. From 8 o'clock tomorrow evening to about 11 o'clock, the center goes from Lake Pontchartrain to Hattiesburg. It'll be moving at 25 to 30 miles an hour. That's going to push a lot of rain across our area, and there's your south wind. Keep in mind, during Hurricane Sally in Mobile County, we had a north wind. This one is going to bring a south wind for everybody, and that's the south wind that's going to drive storm surge. And look at this, before the sun comes up on Thursday, it's gone. That's how fast it's going to move, but it's going to have impact. There's your outline of the tropical storm warning, generally north of I-10 in Mississippi, everywhere in the NBC 15 area, and then a hurricane warning across the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Heaviest rain amounts, those are going to be back to our west. We're on average going to see about 3 to 4 inches of rain here, and there's that possibility that if it comes down very fast, there could be some isolated flash flooding. Right now, it doesn't look like a widespread possibility. But the tornado threat, it's a level 2 out of 5 for tomorrow night. So we're going to watch for isolated tornadoes both ahead of Zeta and during Zeta. And there are your storm surge projections. Due to that south wind, which will be over tropical storm force, 3 to 5 feet in Mobile Bay, South Mobile County towards southern Jackson County, 5 to 8 feet. So Dauphin Island, Fort Morgan, you're going to get some flooding there. You've got to be prepared for that. Without a doubt, that is our next weather maker. Now, I'm going to show you the timing of the wind you can expect in your community coming up a little later.
Thank you. Let's send it back now to the Gulf Coast Chief Meteorologist, Alan Seals.
Yeah, he has the very latest information on Zeta, Alan.
Zeta remains a tropical storm for the moment, and we've seen so many this year. Each one is totally unique. This one, with winds of 65 miles an hour, is gusting to 75, moving more to the north than it was earlier and going to make a turn targeting southeastern Louisiana. Louisiana has been hit. This will be the 4th direct strike of a tropical storm or hurricane this year. And notice this is after 1 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. So towards sunset tomorrow afternoon, Louisiana will see what will likely be a hurricane. Winds 75, 80 miles an hour, maybe a little bit more or less. And then the Mississippi Gulf Coast could see another landfall, but either way, it goes just to our west with the impacts right where we are in the NBC 15 area. We'll walk through all of those, and I'll show you the timing of the wind in just a moment. It's a system that will move very quickly, and even where we stand 24 hours away, there's still the uncertainty of that wind. As I mentioned, it could be plus or minus about 10 miles an hour. If you were to pick one single landfall location, that could be off by 40 miles in any direction, both forward, backward, to the east or to the west. So still, we don't have precise answers, but here's a good sense of what you can expect. This is the forecast for wind tomorrow. What you see in blue is wind less than 20 miles an hour. Green, it's 20 to 30 miles an hour. And watch for red. That will be over 40 miles an hour, tropical storm force winds. We'll go through the day tomorrow, breezy at the coast. By 7 o'clock after sunset, we'll notice those winds along the coast getting over 30 miles an hour. That's the steady wind, not the gusting wind, but you see the red offshore. That's where the highest winds will be. You see the circulation projected to move from southeastern Louisiana to Slidell, Lake Pontchartrain. And by that point, 9 o'clock in the evening, look at the dramatic change in wind speed. 48 miles an hour at Dauphin Island, 48 at Biloxi, north of I-10, winds getting over 20 miles an hour. This is going to be a fast system. By 10 o'clock, look at Biloxi, 71 miles per hour. Now, this is a projection. It's not a guarantee, but the point is all these winds are going to rapidly jump up in speed. 51 mile an hour winds at Dauphin Island by 10 in the evening. Our inland counties, you'll see the winds going 30, 35, 40 miles an hour as we approach midnight tomorrow night. And that strong south wind, that's what drives the storm surge along Mobile County, Baldwin County, Mobile Bay. So everyone is going to see winds easily over 30 miles an hour, tropical storm force winds. By 1 a.m., look how quickly the winds drop down on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. But the tropical storm force winds move through Grove Hill, Thomasville, places like Evergreen on the way toward Montgomery. By 3 o'clock in the morning, in the Florida Panhandle, you'll see your winds up to about 30 miles an hour. Still a south wind, so storm surge will be an issue, and there's really no difference in the natural tide cycle. We'll talk about that in just a moment. 5 o'clock in the morning, winds down 15 miles an hour. This is going to be a fast system. So compare it to Delta, Laura, which hit Louisiana. Both of those moving 14 miles an hour. Sally was moving 3. This one will likely be moving 25 to 30 miles an hour. In other words, it'll move 8 to 10 times faster than Sally, so it is not going to linger. Nonetheless, it's still going to produce wind, maybe on the order of what many of us saw with Sally, a steady wind of 45 to 55 miles an hour through Mobile County, central Baldwin County. We're not going to see the extreme winds. On the right, that's the wind gust, but we will see winds that will be strong enough to knock down trees. It's going to be a south wind, and that means if you have a weak fence that stretches from east to west, the fence may get pushed to the north. It may not be knocked down. What will be interesting is we've lost a lot of trees, and the trees that are standing have lost a lot of leaves, and that means more wind may actually reach your house than from Sally, simply because there's less to stop it. Now there's a forecast map for tomorrow, tonight. Cloudy, some rain across southern Mississippi, nothing unusual. We go into tomorrow evening. What you don't see here is that possibility of isolated tornadoes, but what becomes obvious after sunset, all of a sudden you see a big blob of rain with the circulation. That will be Zeta, quickly moving from Hattiesburg toward Waynesboro in just a matter of hours. So the rain that falls will be limited to several inches because it's going to be a fast mover. But you still have to prepare for power outages. There are your rainfall projections. Southern Mississippi gets the heavier amount, the rest of us just a couple of inches. And storm surge, watch out, 3 to 5 feet Mobile Bay, 5 to 8 feet southern Mobile County and across the Mississippi Gulf Coast. There's your 7-day tracker. That makes it obvious why tomorrow night is going to be code red. That will be the period we all have to be prepared. After that, though, the weekend, outstanding.